Hello, we're here with Sam from season 7, and we've got Taylor and Isaiah leading our interviews today. And Sam, before we get started, why don't you just say a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, my name is Sam Lechner. I played in season 7 of Survival Challenge back in 2019. I'm 28 years old. I live in Columbus, Ohio, and I work in talent development for the city of Dublin, which is a small suburb outside of Columbus. That's a little about me.
Party. All right, let's dive into it, Sam. We're going to take it back. Let's take it back to 2019.
Mhm.
So, how did you originally hear about Survival Challenge and what were your initial thoughts that were like, you know what? I want to do that.
It's so funny you ask because I actually didn't feel that way when I first heard about it. I heard about Survival Challenge because one of my best friends, Greg Freeberg, played season 6 of Survival Challenge the year before me, had an amazing experience, and he was like, Sam, you have to play. And I was like, a bunch of wannabe survivor nerds in the woods couldn't be me. And then he told me more about it, obviously, and I was like, okay, all right, my ego's big enough. I think I can do this. And I was what, 21, 22 at the time. So I was like very inflated ego time of my life. I was like, oh, I can definitely do this. I should do this. I would be so good at it. I win. I didn't, spoiler, win. But eventually once I did Survival Challenge, actually, it really opened me up to the community of Survivor. I think more so than I have when I was younger, which I've really enjoyed and met like a lot of really wonderful people through. So I'm very thankful for that.
Awesome. And whether by car, train, plane, bus, however you got there, are there any interesting or funny stories leading up to your participation in your season of Survival Challenge?
Um, I think the one that comes to mind is I told my parents, obviously, that I was casted on Survival Challenge and told them what it was and everything. And very shortly after, my dad bought me Flint, like in a little thing. And he was like, you got to practice in your backyard, and I like did not have a very big yard at the time. I also lived in New Mexico at this point in time. He like shipped it across the country with me. I was like, you have to do this, which I don't even know if that feels illegal to ship Flint. I don't know. But he did, and I was like, this is a fire hazard. I live in a very dry area. I don't even have like grass, like it's so dry in New Mexico. And that Flint is still in its packaging. I have never once touched it. I've never used it. Again, definitely would have come in handy on season 7 of Survival Challenge. A lot happened when my team lost the fire making immunities, so would have come in handy. Haven't used it. That's fine. And the other one too is that this kind of goes along with actually being in the game, but my close friend in college, Rachel Karen, also played on my season of Survival Challenge, which was unbeknownst to me. Had no idea she was playing going in. And I posted we met in college playing Survivor or in a Survivor org in college, where I helped run it and she was a participant. And I posted in our group that I was playing just to be like, hey, if any of you want to donate to like the organization or follow along, here's the link basically. But she had deleted the app that we all communicated on, so she never saw it, had no idea I was playing either. So we both went in completely shocked to find out that the other one was playing, which I thought was so funny because there were so many opportunities that we could have found out the other was playing and had no idea.
I love that. Okay. Well, let's jump ahead to paint a picture. You have landed in the dirt in Macomb, and what's going through your head? What are the things you noticed?
Oh God. I mean, I mostly think of I really thought I was so good. I really was like, I'm gonna come out here and school everybody. I underestimated every single person that I interacted with, which is such a mistake in any realm of life, especially when you're playing a game like this. So I think that's my first thing is I was like, oh, this is easy peasy. I'm so cool and great. Everyone's gonna love me, done deal. But then I don't remember exactly what happened. I think Austin showed up like 45 minutes late, and we had to just stand in the woods silently with everyone, or with our like small cohort of people, and it was me, Travis, Lance, and Stephanie, I think, which was a quite eclectic group. And we just had to stand there waiting for us to be able to go. Then we got lost in the woods. I'm not a navigator by trade, I'll say. Honestly, even after being at Survival Challenge for a few years now, I still would get lost in the woods if you didn't give me a map. Um, and I was so excited. Greg let me borrow his car to drive up, so I was like just very anxious. I was in a bookstore for like 3 hours before, just like sitting and reading a book because I needed something to focus on because I just had so much anxious energy leading up to the event. When I got there, it was just like all excitement. It's just such a welcome, such a warm welcome from all the volunteers, and I just remember being really excited to get going.
Well, during your season, obviously a lot went on, different twists and turns and all of those things. Your season was definitely very special. But what are some of your favorite memories from your season that you can remember? And were there any favorite challenges that you had?
I can tell you there was a least favorite challenge if you want to know about that.
Absolutely.
It took me, I'm gonna say 3 years to be able to eat sauerkraut. Again, after the gross food eating challenge, that permanently scarred me. I couldn't wear that buff for a while either because it just smelled rancid because I wiped my mouth on it. That was a mistake. So that was my least favorite challenge. I'll try and think of a favorite one. Um, but honestly, like this is so silly, but probably one of my favorite memories from the season was the first night. Everyone on my season was unwell. We all were like puking. We were dehydrated. It was 100 degrees every day. It was really hard, like physically very hard. And the first night, Travis was just like, his stomach was upset. He wasn't doing well. And I remember I woke up in the middle of the night with him and we went up to the porta potty so he could puke. And that is like one of my favorite memories from this season because it was like the first time that Travis and I were like, we're good. You know, it was me like going to like, just just go up there and stand outside the porta potty while he puked at like 2 in the morning. I just think that's funny.
Well, you told us what challenge you don't want to see, but are there any that you're hoping to see?
Oh, hoping to see. I'm such a sucker for the puzzle stairs. I love the puzzle stairs. I'm not good at them. I will lose. If anyone else is watching this, bring me to the puzzle stairs. I will lose. I have lost at Dream Team. Like I'm not good at it, but I just love it because it is a survivor classic, like truly a survivor classic. They do it in new era, they've done it in old era. Like I just love the concept of the puzzle stairs. I think they're so fun. So I would love to participate in that, but we had it last season, so I'm not hopeful, but I am hopeful. I know they took it down last year, but I'd be really interested if they brought the cable that ran over the pond back because I really wanted to do that challenge where you'd like balance on the oil barrel and like go across the cable. That one felt very, very like real, to me too. Like it really took some skill to get across that. So those are the two I would be hopeful to see.
Right. And lastly, or not lastly, but one of the last ones for me, are there any takeaways that you got after participating in your season of Survival Challenge? Anything you learned about yourself? Any of the connections, like you were saying with Travis? Any connections or lifelong friendships that you made post your season?
Um, I think it's really hard not to make genuine connections when you leave Survival Challenge if that's what you're looking for. If you want to go and have this experience and never speak to people again, that's also totally fine. Like it's completely different for everyone, but if you go in and want to do that, I feel it's very, very hard not to. Just because I'm sure similar to, Survivor or any experience where you're like isolated and only with people and it's kind of like stressful, you just kind of trauma bond a little bit. And I've made some really amazing friendships. Like I still talk to a good, I don't know, handful to half of the cast of season 7. Like not every day by any means, but I think that especially since Macomb, I think a lot of the survival challenge community has remained close, whether it's through volunteering or like through Facebook groups or whatever. So I definitely took away a really strong community and a newfound love for a game that I grew up really loving. So I think that was really special, was just finding this like almost like unleashing this next level of fandom and being able to experience that joy with other people who feel it too is really, really cool. And I'm sure it's cool of anything if you find people that are like really in your niche. In terms of myself, mentioned it earlier, but I definitely learned I'm not always the brightest, smartest, coolest person in the room, and that's okay. And that was like a harsh lesson to learn at 21, 22, in the way I did of like obviously being voted out, way before I wanted to. So I think that was really big, just like learning not to underestimate people as much as I did, because it's just not fair and not great, not a great look. Um, but I also developed a lot of I don't know. Like I've always been a pretty confident person, so I don't want to say I developed a newfound sense of confidence because I feel like I've always kind of had that, but it also just it's exciting to be able to do something like this and feel you did well. Like I don't think I did poorly. I think I am happy with the game I played. I can look back, 6 years later and be like, "Oh, that was good. That was fun. I'm glad I did that." So I think being able to have that kind of experience and feel that way about it, even years later is like it's just really cool to be able to do that. And so I realize that I like the person I am in those sorts of situations aside from the overconfidence thing, I guess.
Oh, no, that's awesome. All right, so we're gonna jump ahead. We're now moving into 2025 territory. You've been with SC, but you've been on the camera side. So now give us what are your thoughts of, yes, we get closer to unfinished business. We're about like a little over 60 days. What's going through your head right now? Yeah, I know. Every time I
Don't
say
say
that,
that out loud again.
everyone has that same reaction, but like, what is going through your mind as we get closer?
A literal jump scare. It's mostly excitement. I mean, I feel excited for SC every year. I've come back every year to volunteer since, and I've really enjoyed that. And it's such a different experience on the other side. Um, I'm really honored to come back. I'm really excited. And I'm a little bit anxious just because obviously, I think that while there are so many people who have been past volunteers who are playing this season, um, my volunteering is very front facing, so I think a lot of people have seen me volunteer because I'm always yapping. So I'm curious to see how that will play into my game, and I'm fine saying that. Um, I also am really curious too that obviously all of these people were asked to come back, right? We all auditioned for a second time, and I think that people come into that game with a lot of expectations of like how they think everyone's going to play, and that's why I'm excited about these interviews because obviously it's been 6 years since I played. Like I'm a different person than I was at 22. So I'm really interested to see how people have changed since the last time they played, and I'm also interested too. Just usually if you get asked back to come for a second season, it means that you're some level of a big personality or you did something, that warranted like, oh, why do you get this second chance? So I think putting all those personalities in one place is gonna be fun. I'm excited to see it. I think it's gonna be a really good time. So mostly I'm just excited. Worst case scenario, I get voted out first and I get to hang out with my friends anyways. So that'll be a good time.
Oh, great takeaway. All right, and one final bonus question for you. In one word with no explanation, give us how you are kind of hoping your game's going to go, what you're hoping for with your journey here for Unfinished Business. One word, no explanation.
One word, no explanation about how my journey's gonna go. I'm gonna say rejuvenation.
Hello, hello. We are here live tonight with David Crowley from season 7 of Survival Challenge. How you doing tonight, David?
Doing great. I'm a a ball of excitement and nerves. I can't wait to get in the field. Yeah.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, David Crowley. I've aged about 50 years since the last time I played. I'm 43 years old. I live in Redondo Beach, California, and I'm a full-time dad, part-time vegetable farmer.
So tell us your intro story. How did you initially get connected with DWSC or SC when you played in season 7? And when you found out about it, what's first thing that went through your head?
Yeah, so it was 2012. My parents wanted to start a yurt campground because they had retired and needed some help with that. I live in California, they're in Maine, and I had done a business plan for them, and I had done all sort of like the business part, the boring paperwork aspect, and it was just going too slow. They were taking their time building the yurt, so I left California to go home and just swing a hammer and help build them and help move it along. And one of the days I'm there, I stumbled upon my dad and his new friend John and Steve out in the middle of the woods. And he goes, "Hey, I just met these guys at a pool in Florida, and we're talking about playing Survivor in the woods here." And I literally almost lost my mind because we had so many things we were supposed to be doing. And you got to understand, I grew up with a bunch of unfinished projects at the Crowley household. Like everything is 90% finished. And at that point, that was the yurts. And like 2 weeks before that, he wanted to build a Tough Mudder course because he met somebody that ran in a Tough Mudder. So uh, I couldn't believe it. I end up leaving a few weeks later anyways. I came back home and just hoped that it wouldn't be another distraction for my dad and my parents. And a few months later, they have the first season of DWSC, and my parents are texting me pictures and videos of it, and I'm looking at my phone going, "Oh my God, they're playing Survivor." I mean, you got to understand, nothing like this, as far as I knew, had happened before. Like Survivor was something that was on TV, not like a thing you played in your backyard. And I was captivated. Like they literally had captured the magic of Survivor. People were voting each other out and blindsiding and doing challenges and finding idols. And I was hooked. So I was there the next 4 seasons, season 2 through 5, when we had it in Maine. And I always dreamt of being able to play or wanting to play. And I tried to get the dream team to vote each other out a few times, and it just we couldn't get it. We didn't have our own, dream team.
So fast forward then to 2019 or just before that. What made you decide to finally throw your hat in the ring and give it a try?
Yeah, when it moved to Macomb, I felt like that was my chance because like when it was at my parents' property, like when you're familiar with it, like I am, it's not as magical. We were parachuting people out in the middle of the woods in Maine. They're going down rivers, 2 mile rivers to get to the property. Like I knew where everything was, so I didn't feel like I get the authentic experience. But I'd never been to Macomb before, uh, and I felt like I want to throw my hat in the ring and see if I got a chance. And when I got accepted, it was, I would imagine, the same feeling people get when they get accepted when they're on Survivor. I mean, it was like a whirlwind, and it was, one of the best experiences I've ever done.
Any fun or memorable stories between you getting the thumbs up that you're in the game and the time you made it out to Macomb?
Yeah, I haven't told you this, John, but that year leading up into my wife and I were trying to start a family and a lot of bad news. And I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to play. I didn't want to stress you out, but like I was pretty sure I wasn't going to be able to go. We had so many doctor's appointments back then. But there was a 7-day period where we didn't have appointments and I could go do something. My wife and I got a break from like all that stuff. And Survival Challenge was a lift that we really needed at that time. So we come back from Survival Challenge, and a month later we find out we're pregnant, and it's been another whirlwind since then. And we're 2 kids later, and hence why I've been aging in dog years. But Survival Challenge was like a little bit extra special. It came at a time in my life when we needed it.
So paint that scene for us with all of that uncertainty. You make it out to Macomb. There's all these years of seeing behind the scenes, but now you're finally in the field. What are you feeling?
Uh, the normal panic and anxiety as I drove up to the farm. But once I went to check in, uh, I sort of just let it go. I felt like, you know what, let's just, things are out of my control now. So let's just go have fun. And one of the funny stories of check-in was I get there and I see Dion and I see Hannah and I see Kathy, who played in season 6. I've seen all these like celebrities that I had just watched on the live stream from the season before. And Dion checks me in and he kind of gives me, looks me up and down. I look good, and I go to start the game, and I still have my car keys and my cell phone in my pocket. And I debated for a second if I should, hold on to them, but of course I didn't. So I had to give those back. But I was hopefully they check people a little bit closer than when I got checked.
Hopefully we learned something from that.
Yeah, yeah.
How about some favorite memories or favorite challenges from season 7?
Yeah, when I tell about my experience, it's a combination of what I got to experience, what my tribe got to experience, and what my family got to. And from a tribe perspective, I started the game with with the original tribe, with my Zika tribe. And one thing that was special for me was seeing Christine win the Survivor Trivia challenge, where she went in and got the final answer right, and it kept us out of tribal council, which was incredible. The other story I tell a lot is people ask me, what's the competition like? People in my life, will say, wait, you're playing Survivor like in the woods? What's it like, and who are you playing against? And I have them watch the video of Bobby memorize in one try 15 tiles when we swim out into the pond and back. A normal competition like that would be a swim off where you go back and forth and back and forth. Bobby did in one shot. I mean, it was incredible. It was, that was even better than most TV show survivors do. Then for me, I got to find an idol. I mean, I felt like the world stopped for a second when I saw it. I said, "Oh my God, I found an idol." I'll never forget that moment. And then I also got to win a individual immunity when I won the Gross Food Challenge, and that would be one that would be at the bottom of my expectation that I'd be able to win. I won it, and it also kind of brought me back to life. I hadn't eaten in like 3 or 4 days, whatever the time frame was at that point. So not only did I win, but it sort of like gave me my brain back. And then the last thought was my wife and my parents were there, and to be able to see them and them be part of it is very different than when people are actually on the show, where you're isolated from your families, of course. So, I see them, and they were at the same time, at the same time as they're watching me. I can see that they're scared, but they're also like proud of the way I'm playing, and it was special to have, like my cheering team there, watching me play.
Sure. How about post game? Anything you took out of the game that was a learning experience or a connection you made or anything like that?
Yeah, I had been around the game for like 5 years or whatever before I got to play. So I would hear players come out of it go, "Wow, that was life-changing. Wow, we have these really strong bonds with people we just met, in the woods." And I wondered, is it going to be like that for me? And it absolutely was. I mean, just to go and immerse yourself in it and spend more time with people than you probably do in 4 years with your best friend in college, just like the pure hours that we're with everyone, and that trauma bonding that happens. And I remember right after it finished, I was introducing my wife and parents to some of the players I had played with, like somebody like Bobby, who I played a lot with. And I turned, I said, "This is Bobby," and then I realized I didn't know a single thing about him because we had just only, with a lot of people we were playing, we just talked about the game. I didn't really know anything else, and it was an odd feeling. I also, I'm an adjunct professor, and the night after I got home from Survival Challenge, I had to go teach. My brain was still not 100%. And I remember I got there, and the students, they're MBA students, they asked me, what did I do on that week? Because it was the 4th of July week, the week before. And I stood there, and probably 3 seconds went by, and I felt like the whole week, the weekend went through my head. And fast forward, and I said, I just went camping. I didn't have the words to be able to, they didn't have enough time. It was only a 4-hour class. I couldn't spend the whole time talking about,
Yeah, I'll share a link with you. Go check it out. Right?
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
So I don't know if you have the countdown going, but we're at 68 days until we play, which is getting kind of crazy. What's going through your head?
Yeah. I've, there's a whole mix of emotions. Like, I'm really honored to represent season 7. Like when I played, I'd seen previous seasons. They're all incredible in their own ways. I felt like my season was special, as probably everybody does. And to be, one of the ones that got selected for season 7, like I feel the weight of that. I want to represent season 7 well. The history of DWSC and Survival Challenge. You know, I also, acknowledge and feel that too. I want this to go well. I want it to be, the best season we've ever had, and I want, I want to play a part in that. And I just want to see, like, I'm so excited to like clash with all these other Titans, and I'm sort of, fanboying out over, I can't believe like so many of these people that, some of them I haven't met, some of them I got a chance to meet before, but like, that I'm going to share the field with them. And I really just can't wait.
Cool. Anything you're hoping shows up out in the challenge field, or maybe something you're hoping doesn't show up?
uh, I think what I'd like to have a second shot at is the last idol standing is one that I feel like I should be good at, and I lost it when I played in my season. So if I get a second shot at that, I hope I play better. And And then there's also there's some classic Survivor challenges that I don't know if you'll be able to pull off, but if you do, it would be something that would, that I dream about when I watch the show, when I watch like Last Gasp, when they get the railing or whatever in the water and the tides coming up. Like if you could do a thing like that, or when you're on the pole to get a grip challenge where you just hold it and gripping onto a pole. I probably wouldn't be good at either of those, but it's still like, to feel like you're getting, some of those experience with some of those challenges that we're all familiar with from the show.
Cool. One last bonus question. In a single word, without giving any explanation, how do you see yourself approaching this game of unfinished business?
Um, for me, I'm going to say the word team.